Hello, hello, Gemini. Welcome to your August 2019 overview reading. This is good for you if you're a sun, moon, or rising Gemini. And go ahead, take a moment to subscribe and like this video if you would care to show me some love. Do not forget to check me out on Instagram at Onyx Healing if you would like more readings, more content, more fun stuff from me. And also check out my podcast. There's a ton of cool stuff on there if you're interested. Now I am going to lay out this spread and then we'll get started. All right, let's start with your truth bomb, shall we? We have uncertainty is key to creativity. So that's definitely the truth. Uncertainty puts you in a position where you have to experiment. There's no other way to go about uncertainty. You have to dabble. If you don't try, you're not going to get clarity. You're not going to get certainty. You're just going to be trapped in a mental spiral of thinking and trying to conceptualize what exactly you want to do without feeling into what exactly you want to do. And feeling is the great clarifier. So if you want to break out of uncertainty, you need to find creative solutions and make attempts and try to experiment with whatever it is that you're going after. Now the next card I have for you is Grasshopper. So this immediately struck as forward movement. So just making big leaps, literally, in August. I think you're going to see a huge increase in either what you're able to produce, what you make happen. So this is kind of like a key to success here is just being able to make some solid moves in August. I think is going to serve you really well. Whatever you can. Some of you are going to be playing a little bit bigger than others, so just take that with a grain of salt. And then we also have embodiment. Appreciate the opportunities inherent in being on the planet. Stand in your own affinity for yourself, then act. Allow your potency to vibrate. The situation may shift in reply. Remember that energy is what comes first, and then things shift as a result. So keep in mind, what are you thinking? What are you saying? What are you doing? That is essentially embodiment. The feelings that you have within you, that is embodiment. So the more you clean that up, the faster things will shift in the material world as well. Now let's look at the central energy for you in August. The Tower. Okay, let's see. Let me pull the clarifier or the crossing energy first. We have the High Priestess. So this is your intuition coupled with needing to release or burn something down, not in a bad way, but like letting go. This is also the because of how the imagery is in this card, it reminds me of uncertainty as well, because even though you may have the illusion that you're on a cliff, it's still stable. So I think that the risks may not be as scary as you might feel they are. And so the High Priestess is you already know what to do. You can trust your intuition. You can trust your compass. If something is uncomfortable, and this has been coming up a lot, discomfort is pushing people. And I think perhaps it's because Mercury has gone direct by the time this month rolls around, that you've had that time to reflect, contemplate, and figure out what exactly is or isn't working. You're reviewing everything and revising. And so once you shift out of that, you're able to move forward in a bigger way. Now let's see what's shifting out for you. We have strength, personal power. I think you may have been white knuckling it a little bit, or just trying to grit and bear whatever it is that's uncomfortable. And I think that has put you into a position of uncertainty. Do I stay with the way things are? Do I remain in my current position? Or is this something where I need to take a risk? And that's what the Tower experience is. Feeling like you're on the edge of that cliff. Like you could fail or you could stay exactly where you are. And both of those can be really terrifying. But that's why the High Priestess is so important to have show up here. If you've been kind of thrashing around because of where you've been over however long, and you're really wanting to break out of that, it requires you to take action. And so creative solutions, creative problem solving, inviting miracles, doing all of that is really going to serve you in this next month. The oncoming energy is judgment, final decisions, a new door or opportunity opening. That's what the imagery on this card is screaming, is things are flying open and becoming more available. So whatever your intention, whatever move you're making in that new direction, you can trust that some move is better than no move. And I think that's the whole point of August, is that you're divinely supported, okay? I know not everyone believes that, probably because if you've been burned in the past, it's going to be harder to get on board with that idea. I completely understand that. But until you stop trying to project getting burned onto the future events, then you're just going to pigeonhole yourself, because you're going to expect the worst and you will have been dealing with the worst, and you're just going to be in a cycle of that negative experience. So that's how people get stuck. This is about trusting yourself, trusting that you are really powerful in your ability to create, and that's when things fly open. When you get to that point is totally up to you. You can do that quickly, you can do that slowly. The outward manifestation is the Five of Swords, right? So this is the combative. You can see all these people are fighting and it is kind of a battle. It's a battle to move in a new direction, or for things to improve or change or grow. All of that is a struggle. And so whether it be you battling the mental resistance that you have against trying something new or doing something different, because a lot of the time if you're approaching that cliff and you start experiencing the internal, oh, I don't think this is a good idea, then that's really that's your internal battle, right? Or if this is something where maybe, you know that you can't stay exactly where you are, but it's serving you, or it's comfortable in some capacity, which can also be an internal battle. So whatever version of that you're dealing with, just know that it's like, yes, you are going to have to push past some mental resistance in some capacity. And that's just a part of growing. And then in the subconscious, we have the Hierophant. Make a decision and stick to it. This is about boundaries with yourself and boundaries around your mind. The Hierophant is such a nice card for when you are experiencing uncertainty, or you are feeling as though things could burn down or not work out, because this is what's going to say the discipline that you apply at this point in time is going to give you some structure and stability where you feel like you might not have any. So I think a big theme for you is belief and trust in yourself. If you don't have that, then it's going to make it more difficult. For some of you, that muscle might be atrophied and it might not be able to you might not be feeling fully into your confidence and your ability to do that. But at the same time, in order to strengthen that muscle, you have to get the data, which means you have to take risks. So there's no winning, right? You're either going to have to do something to prove to yourself that you can do it. And you can do that in small ways or big ways. Some of you are going to be ready for more than others. And that's just kind of how you're able to train yourself that not everything's going to fall apart, or that you are supported, or that things will be okay. But if you're kind of going in and saying this isn't going to work out, then God is going to say, all right, well then it's not going to work out. So just watch yourself on that. The advice for you is the Ace of Swords. It's about thought. That is probably the most important message that is just getting drilled in this reading. How are you thinking about the situation? How are you perceiving it? Are there any alternatives to the way you could be seeing it? with all of this thoughtful energy, and because this is a Gemini reading, it's kind of funny that all of this is about what you're thinking, your mental experience, that heavy Mercury energy that's sitting in this reading. I'm going to clarify the advice card for you. Queen of Cups. Okay. So it's absolutely okay for you to experience whatever feelings. This is what this reminds me of. You're not going to ruin anything if you have a negative thought. And I know that's a misconception that people think, oh my God, I had this one bad thought, everything's going to fall apart. I promise you're not going to be punished for having a bad thought. It's about the consistency. It's about how much you can actually harness your internal experience and the emotions that you have flowing through your body. That's what you ultimately want to gain control over. And everyone's going to be at a different pace or at a different level with that, and it takes a lot of practice. So know that emotions coupled with thought are really, really powerful, and that's what's going to either serve you or something that's going to keep you held back if you don't address that. External influences. We have the Eight of Swords. Again, it's all you this month. Anything that you're experiencing, it's kind of like the mental prison that you can experience. Like there's no solution, there's no way out, there's no way I'm going to get out of this one, there's no way I'm going to be able to get support. Be careful with that repetition if you're saying that to yourself over and over again. This is something where you want to break that cycle, you want to interrupt that with something, be it gratitude, be it a reality check from a friend, be it something else. But remember that it's about thoughts, words, and actions. All of those three are all going to result in embodiment. And so if you're at least get one of those things on board and try to challenge this. If you're wondering like, well, I don't know, I feel like the world is against me or things aren't going my way. One of the things that I recommend people do is ask for evidence of the opposite. Whether you work with angels or maybe you pray, maybe you work with the universe, whatever. You can invite and ask for evidence of things going well or that things aren't as bad as they might seem. You can also invite things like that as well. So remember, there's infinite solutions. Just because you can't think of how you're going to get out of something or how things are going to improve or whatever you might be facing, doesn't mean the solution doesn't exist. It just means you haven't seen it yet. The hopes and fears, we have the Five of Chalices. You're really scared of losing it all or things really not working out. And I think that this is super hyperbolic. Of course, your mind is going to try to keep you safe. Your brain is going to try to prevent you from losing all of this stuff that's, over here. But you still have good stuff that's standing. That's what the Five of Cups represents. So remember that just because you're taking a risk or you're uncertain or you don't know how things are going to work out doesn't mean that the reality of the worst case scenario is definitely going to happen or that it's going to be as bad as you might experience it in your mind. Your mind wants to inflate situations in order to prevent you from taking action. It's doing its job. It's trying to keep you safe. So this is just a reminder that it's not actually as bad as you think it could be, or the worst case scenario might be presenting itself to be. It's very much an illusion, but this is a big fear of like, if I take a risk, I'm not going to be able to claw my way out. And then the outcome of August, we have the World. So things are feeling really chaotic. That's a really interesting energy. And I think it's all about feeling uncertain or unstable. I'm going to clarify the World, but you can see there's just so much that's moving and you want to find your center. I'll show you why I'm saying that. All of this is external. You can see the eye is seemingly stable and secure. So the more you allow yourself to be centered within yourself and things can just kind of happen around you, and you can be in a space of observation, observing the events, not ascribing any like emotional, like don't put an emotional value on neutral events. I'm going to clarify the world. Temperance. Yep, it's all about having a balanced mindset. So try to avoid like extremes, all or nothings. That's really not going to serve you, and that's not a reflection of what's actually going on. So I'm just seeing this as a big fat reminder that things are actually better than you might realize. And while things are rearranging themselves externally and kind of swirling around you, it doesn't mean that everything's falling apart. It could mean that everything's falling into place. Okay, let's get into the timeline for second, third, and fourth quarter of August. You guys know the drill. So let's see this first quarter. We have the Knight of Swords. You've got to pursue that idea or that thing or that new way of being. You have to take a risk. So I'm just getting the Knight of Swords is really about exploring the uncharted territory. And that could be interrupting your daily habits, interrupting your daily routine with something new or something you do want to step into. Quarter two, we have the Six of Swords, forward movement. This is going to be the best time for you to like really try something you haven't done before. I could almost guarantee a lot of the risks that if you're contemplating something that's new or different or exciting or risky, a lot of the moves are probably not as bad or extreme as you might feel that they are. So just keep that in mind. Really check in with yourself about those worst case scenarios, because this first half of August is going to be a beautiful time to start with that experimentation, start moving forward with whatever it is that you want, and try new stuff. Third quarter, we have the Lovers, connection, harmony, also decisions coming up here. Yeah, this can sometimes signify relationships. So it's like you could maybe get more support from a partner or a friend or something like that. But more so, I'm seeing that decisions or opportunities sprout up in this third quarter. And then wrapping up the month, the last quarter of August, we have the Magician. This is where you're finally able to recognize your own creative power. I see this as you're not hiding away from what you are able to create, and that's going to really serve you because you have everything you need, right? The world is infinite. There's infinite resources. There's infinite everything. And so the more you set your intention for that, the faster it will come in. But you have to ask first. Just don't forget that. That's what the Magician wants to remind you. You've got to ask. Now let's do a 3-card pick. You're welcome to pick a card, any card. Pick as few or as many as you'd like. You can ask a question, ask for guidance or clarity. Card number 1. Page of Swords. Yep, the ideas are worth pursuing. Straight up. No other way to put this. It's like if you have the idea, try it out. Why not? It's something that I think there's either been some contemplation or there's a desire that's nudging you. Even if it's something small like going to a class, who knows what all of that good stuff that you're contemplating could lead to if you just tried. Okay, card number 2, we have the Queen of Swords. Carve your own path. Don't worry too much about what other people are thinking. This is such an airy read, it's ridiculous. But just own your desires, own your crown, own the parts of yourself that you feel like are truly signaling, hey, you need to make this adjustment or you need to make this change or this is what's uncomfortable. I don't think you need to fear that part of yourself because it has a lot of information on some awesome moves that you can make just to support yourself moving forward. So listen to that inner rebel. Card number 3, we have the Hanged Man. Look at your consistent behaviors in order to find the answers. What do you do consistently? What program are you hooked into? That's a big part of it. Like when you wake up in the morning, what's the first thing you do? You know, what's the second thing you do? What's the third thing you do? When you come home from work, what do you do? When you're getting ready for bed, what do you do? Start doing some investigating and really, really try to connect with what your habits are a reflection of, and that is going to be the best thing that can show you what's really going on. Okay, so this is the problem as well as the solution in anything that you're asking about or needing guidance around. Or it could also be like in relationships, if that's what you're focused on. Consider what habits do you have in relationships and what results do you continue to get over and over again. That's kind of a good way to frame it. Thank you so much for joining me today, everybody. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you so much for liking, sharing, subscribing, following me on Instagram at Onyx Healing. Don't forget, if you would like to check out the meditations that I offer, if you'd like to sharpen your intuition, I have some stuff on that as well. Don't forget to check out the podcast. The link is in the description box. And as always, if you would like to work with me one-on-one, you know that I'm always available to work with you. We can do some healing, some energetic work, all that good stuff. So check that out, and I will talk to you next time. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.